In a quiet, rural town, there stood an old house that everyone knew but no one dared to visit. It was said to be haunted, but the exact details were always vague, just enough to keep people away. The house belonged to the Caldwell family, who had mysteriously vanished one stormy night many years ago. A young woman named Sarah moved to the town, unaware of the dark history tied to the old Caldwell house. She had just landed a new job and was looking for an affordable place to stay. The house was perfect, spacious, charming, and well within her budget. The real estate agent was unusually eager to finalize the deal, which should have been a red flag, but Sarah was too thrilled to notice. From the first night, Sarah felt uneasy. The house was cold, colder than it should have been even with the heaters on. She dismissed it as her imagination, trying to ignore the chills that ran down her spine whenever she walked through the dimly lit hallways. Then the strange noises began. At first, it was just the creaking of floorboards, which she attributed to the old wood. But soon, there were whispers, soft, almost imperceptible, as if someone was standing right behind her. One night, as she lay in bed, Sarah woke to the feeling of being watched. Her heart raced as she scanned the dark room, seeing nothing but shadows. Then, out of the corner of her eye, she saw it, a figure standing at the foot of her bed, barely visible but undeniably there. She froze, unable to move or scream. The figure just stood there, silent and still, until it slowly faded away. Terrified, Sarah reached out to the townsfolk, but they only gave her cryptic warnings about the house, refusing to say more. Desperate, she began researching the Caldwell family and the history of the house. She discovered that the Caldwells had disappeared without a trace, and the house had been empty ever since. But locals whispered about a shadowy figure that was often seen through the windows, always watching. As the days passed, the hauntings intensified. Doors would slam shut, objects would move on their own, and the figure appeared more frequently, always watching, always silent. Sarah became consumed by fear, unable to sleep, eat, or think clearly. She was trapped in the house with something that wanted her there, something that was waiting for her to break. One night, in a desperate attempt to escape, Sarah packed her things and tried to leave, but the house wouldn't let her go. The doors wouldn't budge, the windows were sealed tight, and the figure appeared again, closer this time, its dark eyes staring straight into hers. In a final, terrified plea, Sarah screamed for it to leave her alone. The figure remained silent, but this time it moved, slowly raising a hand, pointing at something behind her. Sarah turned to see the reflection in the mirror, a shadowy figure standing directly behind her. She felt a cold breath on her neck, and then everything went black. Sarah was never seen again. The house remains empty, its windows dark and lifeless. But sometimes, late at night, if you listen closely, you might hear the whispers and see a figure watching from the shadows. The silent watcher still waits, searching for its next victim.